I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
This week is Tonka.
Tonka, yes, from 1958.
Stronger than the mighty old brave one. Tonka, Tonka, the brave one.
A movie about a horse.
I thought that, because from the picture, I thought Tonka was going to be the name of the Indian kid.
Well, yeah, I did too. We were both clearly wrong. So was this movie anything of what you thought it was going to be just based on the picture?
No, not even a little bit.
No, this is a hell of a movie.
This is a weird one.
Yeah.
It's definitely very old Disney.
Super old Disney. And they give away the whole ending in the theme song at the beginning of the movie.
What part?
It says that... Well, I won't give it away yet, but it says what happens at the beginning of the movie at the end of the movie.
Oh, you mean in the little intro?
The theme song, yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't remember that part.
A great old school Disney intro theme song.
So this movie was directed by somebody named Louis Foster. He basically just directed a ton of 50s movies.
Well, and he wrote Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which I've never seen, but was like a super famous movie back in its day.
I have no idea what that is. Haven't heard of it.
Some big time political movie that I don't know. But,
Gotcha.
But I know it's important. I guess I should say that.
And it stars Sal Milano as our white...
White Bull.
White Bull. Thank you. I kept wanting to say White Fang, but that's a different movie.
One of the first and hugest mistakes that they made in this movie is having one character be called White Bull and the other one be Yellow Bull, which was just dumb and confusing.
And they're cousins, so...
Yeah.
But he is from... because I was curious what his actual ethnicity was. He's from Sicily. He immigrated here from Sicily, so...
None of these people are Indian.
No, none of them are Indian at all, but I just was curious what his ethnicity was. So he's from Sicily, and he was in Rebel Without a Cause, which is the biggest movie with James Dean.
Yep. And it looked like he got murdered at some point in the 70s, which is crazy.
Where did you see that?
I just saw it on IMDb on the front page.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Looking him up. Yeah.
And then Philip Carey, who plays the not the general, but the captain guy.
Captain Keogh. He was great.
And he was on One Life to Live.
Oh, I think I actually
and that's where he's been that's for like 30 years
forever.
Or something.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Because I really enjoyed his character, so...
Really?
We'll get into that, yeah.
Okay. That surprises me. So, I don't think either one of us had heard of this movie at all. Like, we couldn't even find it on Disney+. We had to search, we had to rent it on Amazon.
Yeah. Which is bizarre, but...
But, I mean, how many people do you think are running out to watch Tonka?
I don't know. How old are you?
That's true.
Or maybe how many people should be running out to watch Tonka?
I'm really curious what you thought about this movie. What were your initial overall thoughts, I guess, after watching it?
So, I really got to say that I think we said it at the very beginning. It's a really weird movie.
Yes.
Very strange, not like anything else. It's got a lot of, funny parts that aren't maybe meant to be funny, but are still funny. But it's not bad. I kind of liked it. It was enjoyable, other than some really long, overdone stretches of horse torture porn. It was good.
Oof. Yeah. No, it, I don't know. I don't think I liked it that as much as you did, but...
But maybe that might be a gender thing, too.
Yeah, because it definitely is very, action-adventure, I don't want to use Davy Crockett, I guess, would be, very, I don't know, Indiana Jones, not really, it's action-adventure.
It's just action-y,
it's definitely marketed towards young boys, for sure.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Indians, that kind of thing. But there were just a number of parts in the movie that made me really uncomfortable.
How about at the beginning? So he takes their...
So are we jumping into it?
Yeah, we might as well jump into it, because there's an uncomfortable part pretty much right away. So the kid takes a rope while they're running a bunch of wild horses.
Well, first, before that, though, if we're going to jump into it, the movie opens with a pretty great theme song.
Right. We'd alluded to that. But it's a great theme song.
And it has a very traditional, rolling credits opening that are in a lot of these really old movies.
Yeah, it's perfect old Disney. Like I really like it when movies open like this. More movies should open like this even today.
Yeah. So okay, so aside from the opening credits, so you were saying that he takes the rope and
A rope that belongs to his uncle, and
right.
he wants to catch this wild horse that he sees that he likes. So he runs down, tries to rope the horse,
So
fails.
that part didn't really make me uncomfortable.
Well, no, but it leads into an uncomfortable part. He fails, he gets in trouble. They take him back to the... He walks back, because now he's shamed.
Oh, that's right, because walking is shameful, and he's like, you're gonna, now you walk with the women and the dogs.
But he, like, whips him first, before
Yeah.
they walk back, yeah. And then he's like, you must walk back with the women and dogs. Which, if you think of how far we've come, like, now that would be, like, the ultimate prize. Like, you get to walk around with a bunch of chicks and dogs. But back then, that was, like, the ultimate punishment to...
Yeah, well, I mean, he lost not only this dude's rope, that's, like, his prized possession, he also he left where he was supposed to be guarding to try to catch this horse. He lost the rope, and he left his bow and arrow.
Yeah, he left his bow and arrow, which was a gift from the chief. So it was just... He just totally screwed up.
Yeah. Kind of later in the movie, I got the impression that, like, he's kind of always been a screw-up, because he's, like, he kept saying, no longer will my mother hold her head in shame of a boy who is not a man.
He does seem like kind of a screw-up at all times. We'll get into that a little bit more, because there's more telltale signs that this kid's a terrible decision-maker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people are making fun of him while he's walking back into camp, which is great.
Because I keep wanting to say, here comes Tonka, or Tonto. I keep wanting to say Tonto.
Well, that's fair.
But they're like, here comes White... Is it White Bull?
White Bull.
Yeah, here comes White Bull, the great warrior, is walking. And that's like the biggest shame that they've ever...
And the guy that he took the rope from, Yellow Bull, is super happy that this kid is getting clowned on, which makes no sense once again. That his cousin is just like his biggest enemy.
Yeah.
Like, but fine. Like, he did a really bad thing. And through all that, you get through, okay, he's punished, he's not allowed to hunt or ride or anything until he earns his trust back from the tribe.
Yeah, so he's being shamed by everybody.
He goes back, and what does he talk to his mom about? He's still talking about that damn horse.
Yeah.
He's still got it for the horse. He's like, oh, but that horse was like the color of leaves in the fall. And all this. It's like, give me a break, kid. You are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he like brought the ultimate shame, basically. Because clearly he doesn't have a dad.
Yeah, and his mom's like, you're going to go find those arrows tomorrow. You know.
Yeah.
Go get it done, you loser.
And so he does, but then he finds the horse is all like tangled up in the rope.
Yeah, he got all caught up in the rope, which makes perfect sense. So instead of bringing his arrows back and the rope back, he instead builds a little, like, because the horse is in a canyon, he builds a little trap so that the horse is basically in a pen.
Yeah.
So it can't get out so that he can train it. Which is smart, but he still should have brought back,
Well, I think he had to leave it there so he had a reason to keep going out.
You know what? I just thought of that. Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to go out and just bring back firewood.
Yeah, that was his whole reason was he... And they don't really give a good perception of what the exact, like, timing is of this at this time. Like, at first it
looked
seems
like a whole day. That was like...
No, but as far as, like, how many days it took him to train the horse in total, they don't really give you a good perception of that.
Yeah, they really don't, because it seemed like it was just 2 days, but it probably had to have been more.
No, it was a lot. It was a long time, I think.
Well, no, because it wasn't that long before he gets...
Well, before that, though, like, the first day he tries to ride the horse, and he bucks him off, of course.
Well, yeah. I think that's what you do.
And so he decides he's going to name him Tonka Wakan.
Tonka Wakan.
Tonka.
Tonka Wakan.
Yeah. The Great One.
The Great One.
And he said something here that was like, no longer will my mother be the mother of a son who does not know how to be a man. And that's where I was realizing that, like, oh, like, this is an ongoing problem with him.
Yeah. Like, clearly this kid's a dummy.
But so there was, like, a couple scenes where he kept going back to the horse and trying to to train him, and at like one point there were wolves like howling, and then nothing happened with
so
that.
that's where he took off. Yeah, the wolves were howling, so he took off in the middle of the night with some fire. He stole some meat.
That's right. Yeah.
And the bridle thing, I don't know what it's called. I don't know horses very well.
It's a bridle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took the meat, and took off to the thing, and he slept next to the horse. Remember he had the fire in there?
Yeah.
Because he heard the wolf. Like, I guess he assumed that the wolf was encircling the horse, and so he went to go protect it.
Right. But that, like, nothing happened with that, though. They, like, it wasn't...
No, nothing happened with that, but it was during that time when he went home for that day after going out that night.
Was when the entire camp had left.
When the camp had left and the Whiteys came along.
Right, okay, so that... And I wasn't, I guess, clear about that until the, like, towards the end. It was their camp and they left. Like,
yeah, they abandoned it. Yeah.
That's right. And the military came in. Okay. I guess for some reason that was confusing to me. But he, like, goes and he's going to cut all of the white dudes' horses because they decide to camp there. He's going to cut their horses, and then he, like, overpowers the guy who's watching the horses. And then, like, the guys come and they chase him away. And then he was going to scalp the guy.
Yeah, he was going to scalp him. I'm like, that's where I'm like, this kid is dumb. Like, what is wrong with you? You had no reason to do that. Like, you can't just... But see, that's the other thing is, like... No, we'll get back into that. But yeah, I mean, this kid is ready to kill. Like, at any time.
Well, he's trying to prove that he's...
Oh, we'll get, though. We'll get there. He was going to scalp the guy. But he got a horse out of that, which, okay, that makes sense, trying to get a horse out of it.
Yeah, the white one.
Yeah, and he stole his sword, which was smart, I guess. So he got the little white horse.
And he brought her back to Tonka, to where he's hidden, and, like, brought her in the thing, and then, like, the horses were, like, playing, and, like...
Tonka was trying to get it in.
Well, yeah, and she wasn't having it, and he was like, in an Indian teepee, you will learn the woman is always the chief.
Yeah.
That was kind of gross.
One of the most hilarious lines of the movie.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, he's like, I'm going to take you out. I broke you now.
Yeah, he had, like, he had the horse basically watch him ride the white horse and kind of do some stuff. And then he let him out with the bridle on, went out, and the horse is an automatic pro from then on.
Well, and I don't know a lot about wild horses, but I'm pretty sure it's very difficult to train them. Like, they're crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Aren't they insane?
Yes.
But then he's, like, riding Tonka out, and then a group of, like, white soldiers.
The cavalry.
Yeah, the cavalry. They see him, and so then they start chasing him, right?
Yeah, they start chasing him. And they stopped chasing him because they were so impressed by the horse.
Well, and that was confusing to me. Like, they didn't need to stop. Like, they were right behind him, and all of a sudden they were like, we can't catch him. The horse is too great.
Yeah, that horse is just too much. Like, oh, man. Shucks.
And then they just leave, which is not what would happen. They would have shot that kid.
Maybe. They might not have even chased him. What is the point of getting one Indian? Like... Who cares?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because white people suck. But
yeah, but I mean, I don't really understand. Well, no, I guess I do understand the dynamic of back then. They were really on a mission at this point. And,
which we see later,
and we didn't realize that this was going to be historical, like, fan fiction.
So that was what was... We'll get to it, but there's parts of this movie that I feel like I remember reading about in history
100%,
class. Okay.
Yeah.
But then, so at that point, he takes both the horses and the rope and the bow and arrow and all the stuff back, and he rides into his, which he magically knows where they made camp.
I think that they had contingency plans like that.
Yeah. I guess that's probably true.
He said something about riding north, like, he obviously knew where they went.
Yeah. And so they're like, we don't believe you, you don't have the scalp. But he's like, look, I have the sword, and he presents it.
Yeah, the chief is all happy, his mom is happy.
This one I call Tonka Wakan. I caught him and trained him myself. Oh, he's truly the great one. And this one I call Prairie Bird, after my mother. I stole her from the white soldiers when they came to the camp to attack you.
What kind of lie do you tell us now?
And Yellow Bull is all jealous.
Well, and then he's like, "Oh, I can show you how magnificent this horse is." And I thought he was gonna like run, but no, he just like prances around in a circle.
Yeah,
He's
they did
basically
some
doing
dance.
Well, it's so basically what he's doing is dressage, which is like a horse. It's literally dancing with horses. Like that's a thing. Cause my sister used to do it.
Okay,
but
enough.
that's literally what he was doing. I was like, okay, you're doing some horse dressage, and that shows everyone that you're that you're
got
serious.
A good horse. So then Yellow Bull, the jerk that he is, steals the horse.
Yeah, he comes over. He's like, I'm pulling rank. Like I have more war feathers than you, so I'm better than you. So I'm taking this horse. And at first, his mom and his like dorky little friend sitting bear, were like, you can't do that.
But when that guy knocked him down, when his uncle knocked him down, he came up. He was gonna shank him. He was gonna kill him. He had the knife in his hand. Like that's what I'm saying. That kid is a psycho. Like, the knife was in his hand. He was going to stab him before his mom's like, no, we have the chief decide it. Like, dude.
Well, I mean, that's probably how it was, though.
No,
like,
come on.
Think about it.
There wouldn't be any Indians left before the white people got there if they were just killing each other every time they got a slight. That kid's a psycho. I'm telling you. It comes up again.
And the chief basically is like, okay, yeah, like, you know, I don't like this decision, but it's the way it is. Like, you have to give him your horse. Because he has more feathers than you.
Right. So then we go through an extended horse torture porn scene.
Yeah, it was very... Because they're forcing, like, a bit in his mouth. And I didn't even realize that, like, Native Americans had bits for their horses.
See, but by this time in Native American times, they were super, super whited out. Like...
Okay, so that, I think, was what was confusing me. Because, like, at a later point in the movie, they have guns. And, like, that was confusing to me.
You're talking about, like, the end of... Native Americans in the West, basically, at this point.
But yeah, so, like, Tonka's not having it, and he, like, bucks him off, and then he gets, like, 3 other dudes, and they rope him, and they're, like, forcing the bit in his mouth, and it was really uncomfortable.
It was. So, White Bull frees Tonka in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and like, Tonka's like, I don't want to leave, and he's like, you get out of here, and he, like, throws rocks at him.
And the weird thing is, there's no consequence for this at all. That we see.
Not that we see. It probably happened off camera.
But that's still weird. Like, here he goes and does another bad thing, and there's just, like, zero consequence that we know about.
Well, I mean, but he could have done it in a way that's, like, they couldn't have proven that he did it. Like, the horse could have just gotten away because that horse is crazy.
I guess, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So...
And then this part, like, was kind of confusing to me. So the horse goes back to where all the wild horses are. And he's, like, communicating with the other horse some way.
So he had to refight for domination. That's what that's about.
Oh, I don't know a lot about horses.
It's like any other wild animals. He was the dominant horse. He was the dominant stallion. He had to reestablish his dominance.
But I thought he was a baby. I thought that was the whole thing.
He was a young horse, not a baby.
Well, no, not a baby, but I thought, like that's why he was always running at the back.
He said it was... that he was protecting the weaker horses.
Oh, okay. So he was... Okay. Gotcha. But then there's a bunch of cowboys, and they're basically going to try to capture all the wild horses, which... Is that a thing that people did?
Yeah, totally.
And they still do?
No, not anymore. The wild horses that are left are protected for the most part.
Gotcha. Where is this supposed to take place?
So, this is in the area of the Little Bighorn, which is like... northern Wyoming, southern Montana. Yeah, southern Montana, northern Wyoming.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, the horses are like fighting, and the cowboys come, and they capture all the horses, including Tonka. And then, like, the army guy, the military guy that you, like, recognizes Tonka somehow.
From behind.
But basically, then they're trying to break Tonka again, and they're trying to use a bit.
Yeah, another extended torture porn scene.
And then all of a sudden, the captain guy comes over. He's like, "Oh, it's fine." And then the horse is like totally chill with him, like no big deal.
He just approaches him like a good, confident, nice guy. And he calls him. Then he names him Comanche, which is great.
Isn't that the name of an Indian tribe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, but basically, there's just like a whole thing of them bonding together. He like puts shoes on the horse, and then it goes forward, and like White Bull sees the general or the captain guy riding.
Yeah.
Tonka.
Riding him into the fort while they're staking out the fort.
Right. Okay, that's right. Because then him and his buddies, they're like trying to count how many. Oh, because in the meantime, all of the Indians are like, oh, we need to figure out how many white people there are so we know if we can attack them or not. So they send out their little braves
Yep.
to go and find that out, and that's where White Bull goes out and with his friends or his companions, and then he's like, oh, I'm gonna climb over and see, and I'm gonna count their horses to see how many of them there are.
Oh, that's a good idea. Dummies.
But really, he just wants to go see Tonka.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he's like, if I can't get out for some reason, I'll throw a small rock if there's not very many soldiers, but I'll throw a big rock if there's a lot. And I'm like, how would you be able to throw a rock over if you can't get out?
Well, just like he did. He was about to be captured.
Oh, I know, but it just...
I thought that was genius. I guess maybe that's the difference between us. I don't know.
It just seemed just like strange. I don't know. But he goes in and he sees that the horse is like, he has like a scar on him, or he's like a wound on him of some kind. So he's like, oh, the white man's medicine is bad. I'm going to rub some mud in it. It's much better.
Yeah, he wants to make sure that the horse is going to die of an infection. And we meet the general in that time where he's like, exterminate all Indians.
Oh, you mean Custer?
Or yeah, General Custer, yeah. And they got a guy that spot on looked like him. It was crazy.
Or they kept Captain Yellow Hair.
Yeah, yellow hair or something like that.
Yeah, so clearly all the Indians know who he is at this point.
I think he was pretty famous for what he was doing back in those days, from what I remember.
Yeah, but they're in the
the stables.
The stables, thank you. And the what is the captain guy's name again? Keo, that's right. Captain Keo sees like the mud, and then he sees like his hand still there, and he's like, oh hey, come out, even though he would have just shot that kid. Like,
I don't know, he's a pretty decent guy.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
No, come on.
You understand white man talk? What's your name? Your name?
White Bull.
What tribe?
Teitan Sioux.
What are you doing in here?
I came to see my horse.
Your horse? Comanche?
His name is Tonka Wakan.
How do you know what his name is?
He belonged to me. I caught him. I named him.
What does Tonka Wakan mean?
The Great One.
I see.
But he's like, oh, we're going to go interrogate you now. Or, like, they have this whole conversation about the horse.
The kid had his shank out and he was going to stab that guy. The kid is a psychotic idiot.
I think maybe he just has a lot of hormones.
Maybe, but he's not smart. Like, don't even... Like, what are you... You're caught, stupid. Put your shank
Well, I mean,
away.
he's been probably taught forever that, like, all white people are evil.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wouldn't that be your first response?
You're caught.
I mean, yes, that is true. But how, like, would you speak such perfect English at this point, though?
I think, like I said, that the white people have been... This is, like, the last...
And they already have reservations at this point?
Yeah, I mean, this is really the end of Native American culture.
I'm really
in the
bad
West.
at U.S. history, so
yeah.
I guess that part was confusing to me because I didn't really understand. Okay, that makes sense. And basically then it goes into kind of towards the end of the movie, and they're mapping out their battle plans. Well, they let White Bull go first after they interrogate him, like, okay, here, bye.
Yeah, and Custer's like, well, you can't really keep him. I mean,
yeah,
there's no strategic advantage in keeping some kid.
They let him go.
They go into the Indian savagery montage of, like,
oh, right, where they're, like, burning wagons, which just seemed kind of unnecessary. Like, I don't know why.
I was like, oh, what, you gotta make them evil? Like, I don't think that most of the people in this country, even at the time this movie was made, were 100% on the white people's side. Like,
no,
I don't really think most people thought that this was a necessary thing that we did.
Well, and the whole end of the movie, I think, was what just kind of made the whole thing uncomfortable for me, just because it's a very terrible part of history.
So that's where we got into... We went from this story about horse lovers into suddenly we went into the historical battle of Custer at Little Bighorn. Like, I was like, this is a historical movie now all of a sudden?
Yeah, because then he's like, and I don't know if this is how it actually happened, but they find like the settlement of the Indians or whatever, and then he's like, oh, we're supposed to wait for these other two. I'm not good at military terms either. Cavalry's units,
units
to
whatever.
show up, and he's like, no, we're gonna go now.
Well, that's what happened.
That is what happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's dumb basically. He just thought he could take them.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
And like, it kind of reminded me of, because they're going and they're charging at the Indians, and all of a sudden they're just surrounded, and it reminded me of on Game of Thrones in Battle of the Bastards, where all of a sudden they just get surrounded. They're like, oh, we messed this up real bad.
Right.
And it was a pretty long battle scene.
It was a ridiculously long battle scene.
And like, just made me real uncomfortable. The whole thing made me uncomfortable.
It's not pleasant, but I kind of enjoy that it's not pleasant.
Yeah. And then like, well, the only part actually, okay, there was one part that I really liked was because Yellow Bull, what is his name? Yellow Paw, Yellow Bull, thank you. Yellow Bull, Tonka like tramples him and he dies. Like,
yeah, that was pretty good. Tonka does kill Yellow Bull, which was good. It also Sitting Bear got shot and killed by an arrow.
Yeah, like no big deal.
And he was like a little upset, but he was way more upset that the horse was shot. Like,
oh yeah, no, he was like, oh, sitting Bear, and then he was like, Tonka, and he like went over and Tonka was there, and you thought he was dead, but then he like ripped out the protective charm that he had put on his hair, and he was like, oh, you didn't protect him, and then the horse was like, I'm fine.
Weak magic.
Yeah. And like the rest of the cavalry shows up, and like I'm like, oh, play dead, you idiot, and then like Tonka like gets up, and they're like, oh, we might as well put the horse out of his misery because he looked all jacked up and
but the kid then jumps up.
Yeah, he's like, no,
Kill
he is
me.
not your enemy, kill me instead. And they would have probably been like, okay.
Well, the dude did say, okay, no problem.
And then the other guy was like, wait, that's that kid that we interrogated.
Yeah. And then somehow, basically that our buddy White Bull became a white man, became a part of the cavalry.
Yeah, because they're like giving an award to the horse for some reason.
No, that makes sense to me. That's the kind of thing they did back in those days.
Yeah, but they give an award to the horse, and then the horse is like best friends, and then the guy's like, oh, you have to ride him every day.
General Knowles. Yeah, but that guy was a nice guy throughout the whole thing. You just didn't really notice him.
Like, but he leaves the whole rest of his tribe and like his mom and.
Well, I think they're all dead.
Oh, I guess that's probably true. But like,
Yeah.
and he's like, oh yeah, I'll hang out with you guys who murdered my whole family.
Well, they might as well assimilate, right?
And that's the end of the movie, and he's just seen riding Tonka, and the theme song starts.
Yeah, that is the whole movie.
Like,
It's a weird movie.
well, there just wasn't a lot to it at all.
There was and there wasn't. That's why it's weird. Like, I thought did you expect anything to happen?
No.
That happened? Yeah, exactly.
No, not at all. Like, even when I did actually, like, kind of read the little blurb, like, it said something about training a horse, and so I expected that part, kind of, but not really, like, the way it happened. But just, I guess all the part with the captain and the white people and just the whole Custer part, I didn't expect any of that.
I liked the smooth captain guy. He was cool.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
This little bit here is not going to hurt you any more than this cigar is going to hurt my mouth. And I was like, oh, so it's going to slowly make the horse die of cancer?
Yeah,
or...
pretty much. And I tried to look up because they called it a number of names. They called it like a circle bit, a breaking bit, and I thought it was some sort of like terrible thing, but I looked at pictures of it, and it's just a regular bit.
Yeah, but maybe not back then. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know, but I couldn't find anything like about what exactly it was that was happening. But so what was your favorite part?
The dual horse man love, where they're both in there hanging out with the horse.
Oh, okay, you like that part a lot. Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or maybe when he tried to shank his uncle. It's hard to say. Both parts were good.
I liked the sequence where he brought the girl horse and he was like trying to show him, like he fed both the horses.
That was pretty good too.
I liked that part quite a bit. Or the part at the end when Tonka killed Yellow Bull. I liked that part too.
Yeah, that was good too.
Okay, interesting. I actually, when I was writing out my favorite part, I kind of forgot about that part. The part in the stable. That was a good part too,
It
though.
was.
And they had the Tonka theme music.
Tonka, I don't remember it now, but
No.
it's good.
And so before the movie started, or like as it started and they were singing the theme song, before it said the little blurb about this was about a horse, and it was just the credits, I was like, they kept talking about the coat. And I was like, whoa, he wears a coat? That's weird, because I still thought it was about a dude.
Oh, yeah. No, I caught that it was about a horse at that point.
What did you think about the cinematography?
It was all right for a bunch of white people painted up as Indians, you know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think like his cousin and like the chief were actual Native Americans.
Maybe
no?
the chief. Maybe. Everybody else.
I don't know. His friend looked pretty Native.
I don't think so.
No.
No.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it was pretty old, and yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it's just typical like 1950s.
I would say it's just old Hollywood. I mean, you can't expect anything else.
Yeah. So you've already specified that you feel like the main character is a psychopath, White Bull.
Yeah, White Bull is crazy and stupid.
He's not very smart. That's true.
Captain Keogh was like really nice and really even killed.
Yeah, but he died.
Doesn't mean he's bad.
No, but I just
But those are the two main characters. Well, really, Tonka was the main character. He's a very brave, strong horse.
Comanche. I like it how the kid tells him his name is actually Tonka, and then he's like, "Oh, forget about it, it's Comanche," and he's like, "I'm just still gonna call him Comanche."
Yeah, why, you got to keep some of your own flavor in there.
As far as a villain, I mean, what, Custer?
Custer,
Yellow
all white
Bull.
people, Yellow Bull.
All white people. Well, except for the captain guy that you liked,
Yeah,
right?
or his little Lieutenant Knowles, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just basically anybody who's mean to a horse. I mean, there wasn't really much for side characters other than like Sitting Bear.
And his mom.
His mom, the
Who
white
definitely
horse.
was not Native American.
Yeah.
Oh, that
with
was...
her with her like medium brown hair.
Yeah. It's like almost red.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Oh boy. Story though, it wasn't bad. It was
weird.
It was somewhat interesting at least though. I mean, you can't sit here and be like, "Oh, well they just wrote a formula for a story."
No.
Because it's not like
No.
anything else. So it gets points for me for being original somewhat.
I think it's like before we watched The Lone Ranger and I was like, I don't like Westerns. Like this felt more like a Western, I guess.
Oh, this was way more traditional.
And
yeah.
I didn't really like it.
Well, that's fine.
And like, and that's where I wrote like about the, I wasn't sure if this was more of a historical thing, and it was clearly at the end, at least the last 20 minutes were historical fiction, even though that's apparently what happened. But I doubt if there was actually a horse called Tonka.
Tonka.
The message of the film.
That's a great horse.
Oh, I wrote white people suck.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Wild horses are super easy to train. No, they're crazy. Crazy. Not good at all.
Not good at all.
Final thoughts about this movie? They're just, I don't know. They're just like, there wasn't, even as we talked through the different scenes and we talked through all of them, there just wasn't a lot to this movie.
Yeah, there's less than I thought there was. I will give you that.
Like, there's just not really much happen. I don't know. Just kind of strange. Not my favorite.
I thought it was fun, but it's definitely not my favorite.
Oh, so it's I'm just curious if it'll beat out The Monkey's Uncle.
For sure. It's not that bad. So what did you give it? Oh, my final thought is, what a ride.
I gave this movie a 21%.
Whew. Whoa.
I really didn't like this movie.
Brutal at 21. Did not think it was that bad. I gave it a 57.
Oof. That's like almost as high as Bowl of Griffin.
So, what do you think Rotten Tomatoes gave it, though?
Probably some like 70% nonsense.
So you're close. 77 was the audience score. There is no critic score.
No, that is not correct.
That is correct.
No. No, I disagree.
So people like this movie because that's the audience score.
Well,
like,
then maybe
people like
I'm
this
weird.
movie.
I didn't like it
I don't know.
at all.
So, are you ready to pick the next film, Kelly?
No.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, I'm confused why this got such a high rating. That
So we
bothers
got
me.
number 357.
Wait, 357? That's pretty new.
That's very new. It's a movie from 2013 called Planes.
Oh boy.
Is it animated? Is it live action?
Do you want me to tell you?
No.
I haven't seen it, but I know what it's about, and I don't think you're gonna like it.
Oh, man.
Take a guess at what way you think it is. Do you think it's animated, or do you
I
think...
do think it's animated.
Okay.
It's about some planes running into each other. I don't know.
There's another movie franchise that's about another type of mode of transportation that you absolutely hate, that came out around a similar time, and there's multiple...
It's like Cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not going to be fun.
No,
Great.
it's not going to be good. So that'll be... but I haven't seen it, so I don't know what the story is. I don't know...
If Larry the Cable Guy's not in it, I'll be fine.
Your favorite person?
Yeah. All right, so this has been At the Disney Movies.
Wait, make sure that people subscribe. We keep forgetting to say that, and it's really important.
Yeah, subscribe for sure. Write a review if you want on one of these podcast apps that you listen to on. Share it with other people if you think they'd like it.
Like our Facebook page.
Our Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram. All of it. If you look for At the Disney Movies with the Hearts, you'll find it on your favorite platform. Mm-hmm. It's going to get you close.
That's
Definitely. So, in that case, this has been At the Disney Movies.
I'm Kelly.
I'm David.
Bye.
Bye.